Hello, my name is Winder, and this is going to be a little different. I have not recorded a video like this in a very long time, so you will have to bear with me, or a video at all. But what we have is something a little bit interesting. As you can see here, we have VGC2019, and that's because I am participating in a VGC2019 style draft league. Very simple. There are 8 coaches, 12 picks, and we follow VGC 2019 rules, barring a few exceptions. We have made a couple bans, and by we I mean I only participated in the last ban because yeah, I'll explain that in a second, but yeah, so the primals are banned, Kyogre, Primal Groudon, Mega Rayquaza is banned because we are allowed a Mega pick as one of the picks, and I feel like I can understand, you know, who gets the Mega pick would kind of just pick Mega Rayquaza, and yeah. And the only part of the vote that I actually did get to take part in, because the other one I was present for, was the banning of Power Herb Xerneas. No Power Herb. So none of this, no Geomancy shenanigans for you. You're ceased, you're gone, and that makes me very happy. So yeah, it's also kind of the first season. I definitely call this a quote-unquote beta season. I'd also like to have a face cam, but one, I look awful at the minute. And yeah, that's the main reason. I look awful at the minute. But I do planning on recording my matches and seeing how they go. But what this is, excuse me, is a team builder. So we have, like an overview of the team really. So yeah, we got 12 picks. What was it? The split into 5 tiers: Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5. And yeah, this doesn't follow any of this. I'm just scrolling. But yeah, so and again, per VGC 2019 rules, you get 2 restricted Pokemon to bring to each battle. And yeah, the tier list was definitely interesting with how they were tiered. Mainly because it definitely looked more like a singles list, which we did kind of realize, but we thought, this is more of a test season. If we want to do this again, we absolutely can, and we can absolutely make adjustments based on it, which is fair enough. So yeah, I think I said 8 coaches. And I think that's everything I wanted to say about it. So yeah, you'll see some interesting picks from different tiers, just because it looks more like a singles list. We also allowed some hidden abilities, which I don't think are normally allowed. I believe it was allowing Sheer Force Lando, which I don't think was allowed, but I can't remember. I'd have to look it up, which may affect one of my Pokemon, which I'll double check if it's allowed, but we'll see. I'm doing hand gestures and I don't have a face cam. Whatever. Anyway, so let's talk about what I picked. So here's the fun anecdote. So as the draft was starting, I literally just went to sleep. I woke up, checked my Discord, and there was 3 minutes before I was having my turn skipped. I was pick 6, and they gave me 2 hours total after the last person picked to actually pick a Pokemon. So yeah, I was very grateful that I was actually there for that, and that I actually got my pick in the first place. We didn't have to redo the draft just because of some complications, but other than that, I still stuck with my first pick, which was Kyogre. So let's talk a little bit about Kyogre. It's a monster. My knowledge of VGC is okay. I know a few things here and there, but one thing I do know is you do this to a Kyogre and you win games. And that's literally all you need to know. Now there's more to it than that. Even without giving this thing the blue orb and making it primal, Scarf Kyogre is an incredibly powerful Pokemon, or just Kyogre with speed control. Because base 90 for a restricted Pokemon is a little on the lower side. Really, there's only a few like restrictors that actually really share the 90 speed, and only a very few that are lower, mainly the Necrozma forms, which we did ban Ultra Burst. I forgot to mention that one. So no Necrozmium Z or whatever it's called, I can't remember. But yeah, so like Duskmane and Dawnwing's Necrozma are like the only slower legendaries really. Other than that, like Groudon, Kyogre, Rayquaza, they all 90, Delcapalca, Giratina all 90, and then Reshiram, Zekrom are all 90. Oh, Rayquaza's 95. Forgot about that. So yeah. What's the Zygarde's 95, okay. But yeah, like Xerneas and Yveltal 99, Solgaleo, Lunala's 97, yeah. Kyurem's are what 95, and then you're looking at like super, and then you're looking at like, I don't know. There's not that many fast ones, but Mewtwo's like fast. Mewtwo's like the fastest one. But then there's also like Lugia and Ho-Oh. Lugia is fast actually. I didn't realize how fast Lugia was. Anyway, getting distracted. Expect that a lot. Expect this to be very, very long. But Kyogre, Water Spout. Water Spout in rain with 150 space special attack is incredible. From my knowledge, there was 3 parts of VGC2019, like the Sun series, the Moon series, and the Ultra series. The Ultra series is where they finally allowed the Primals and Megas. But before that, you had to be careful of Kyogre because there was no Desolate Land to really stop Kyogre from just going, I'm going to click Water Spout with speed control and win the game. It was as simple as that. Not only that, even if you weakened it, most did carry Origin Pulse as well as an option. It'd be very rare to not see that. But yeah, the thing is an absolute powerhouse. It can run some supporting moves, notably, where is it? Icy Wind. But mainly I picked this first, and it's Thunder Waves. It gets some okay support, but mainly this is like the heaviest hitter of the team. Almost no questions asked. This is what everyone has to prepare for, because if you're not prepared for a Kyogre, you'll lose. No questions asked. So, yeah. Really, most Kyogre didn't need much more than this moveset and to win games. Maybe take one of them out for Protect, or like, depending on the item, maybe you could run like Calm Mind to really try and just go overboard. Kyogre's a monster, deserves to be respected, and that was the reason why I picked it first, because I felt this thing was going to win games more often than anything else I could have picked. So, excuse me, I am also trying to stay hydrated. I've also got to stay quiet, because it's 1:30 in the morning when I'm recording this. But, my sleep schedule is meaning that 1:30 in the morning is actually kind of normal for me to be awake. So, moving swiftly along. I didn't mean to right click. So what do you have next? We have pick number 2, which is... So this was a tier 1 pick. Like I said, so for picks you had to have a Mega, a tier 1, a tier 2, 2 tier 3s, 2 tier 4s, a tier 5, and then you had 400 points between 4 slots for 3 picks. Tier 1s were 180 points, Tier 2s were 120, Tier 3s were 100, Tier 4s were 60, and Tier 5s were 40. So, my next pick, which was one of the Pokemon that had to be changed to the tier list because, again, like, comparing it to singles, it was very low in comparison, and it would have been, like, disgusting as a steal. And even then, I would still consider it as a steal. It's Incineroar. If you don't, I'm just change it to Intimidate immediately, because if you see me run Blaze, it's an accident. Or I'm really scared of, like, competitive or defiant. Incineroar, there's not a lot to be said about it. It was on 85% of teams at the end of VGC 2019. If you weren't using Incineroar, it technically put you at a disadvantage. It was as simple as that. Honestly, the thing being Fake Out Intimidate is strong enough, but the fact that this thing can go offensive or defensive makes it so good. The fact that you can have all these great defensive tools like Knockoff, like Taunt, like U-Turn, like Will-O-Wisp, like Snarl, wherever Snarl is, there it is. Like, the thing is incredible as a defensive piece to any team. Not only that, like, its stats don't make it look amazing, but 95 HP is very good on a bulky supportive Pokemon, but you can't ignore the 115 attack either. Like, this thing can also hit routines with Flare Blitz, Cross Chop. I think it gets a different superpower, or what is it, Drain Punch? Yes, Drain Punch, right? Yeah. EQ, Knockoff even, Iron Head. Still being able to switch out with U-Turn. It gets Bulk Up, it gets Sword Stance. It has obviously its signature move Darkest Lariat, which has its own Z move, which I believe is a 170 power Dark type move. So yeah, it's might be more actually. Now that I think about it. I don't know, but might be more. Yeah, the 170 actually seems kind of low. Maybe it's a bit more. I can't remember. But Incineroar is a Pokemon that deserves to be respected, because honestly, Intimidate plus Fake Out is enough to make it like scary. But the fact that it's bulky and can do so much different kind of utility, or just destroy face, is enough to say this thing was easily worth a tier 2. I would have said this is worth a tier 1, just due to because of how much it was used. This thing's disgusting. It really is, and I don't think I'm underselling that. The thing is a monster, so I'm looking forward to using it. And it already gave me a good partner to Kyogre. If something was faster than Kyogre, I could fake it out, and then Kyogre could actually Water Spout, or just target down the thing that was threatening Kyogre. Simple as that. So, but I didn't have to, like, I had a base 90 speed, I had a base 60 speed, so I didn't have exactly the fastest Pokemon. And as I said, Kyogre really wants speed control. If it's Scarfed, it obviously can do it on its own, but if it wants to, you know, click, like, Specs, that'd be even better, because then boosting its own damage. But it needs the speed control to do so. So, I grabbed Incineroar first because I thought Incineroar would be more likely to go. The next one I didn't think would go, and that is Lunala, my second restricted Pokemon. First of all, I love Lunala. I think Lunala is incredible, and I'm glad that it is actually useful. Looking at Lunala's stats, it doesn't look incredible. It's got a ton of HP actually. 137 is nothing to scoff at all. But then you look at it, like, you compare it to, like, Kyogre, it's like, okay, it looks a lot less rounded, it looks a bit weird, like, the numbers just don't really add up, but it kind of works. You don't really use the attack, it's more so, the defenses are alright, right? 89 defense and 107 special defense. They don't look incredible, but that HP and Shadow Shield, which is basically multi-scale, is enough to say this thing is actually going to take hits. It will, I don't think there's much in the game that can one-shot this thing through Shadow Shield. It's very, very hard to do so. And that 97 speed is very nice for just being a little bit faster. But there's a very important thing about Lunala. It is one of the few Pokemon in the game that gets both forms of incredible speed control in Tailwind and Trick Room. Meaning at any point, I can even go for a Tailwind team, or a Trick Room team, or a Planner, something like that. And it has to be respected in that regard, because it can do either. It can go for a Trick Room mode or a Tailwind mode, and it's very scary to do so. When you don't know which kind of speed control it's going for, it's scary. Because, I mean, you can maybe judge it based on a team, but even still, like, teams can adapt, teams can have different modes. And I could even bring both one week. And if I don't like, say, I don't like using Tailwind in the matchup after one game, because it is best 2 out of 3, I can just try Trick Room instead. I could use that on the same Pokemon, and that's what makes it really, really good. Granted, of some of its usage in 2019 kind of attributed it to Wide Guard to block like a lot of Precipice Blades and Water Spouts and Origin Pulsers and Dazzling Gleams from Xerneas. Those are lots of spread moves that Lunala was really helpful against, which I don't know how much will be helpful here, but Lunala is still really, really good. Despite this, I'm talking about its support options already being incredible. Let's not ignore base 137 special attack and an incredible offensive typing. Psychic Ghost, not the best defensively, it does have 2x4 weaknesses in Ghost and Dark, but it also has 2 immunities. And I don't actually believe it's weak to anything but Ghost and Dark. So yeah, it's not a bad typing whatsoever. And its offensive moves are incredible. It's great coverage. It gets Air Slash, it gets Dazzling Gleam and Moonblast, Heat Wave, Ice Beam. I said Moonblast. Thunderbolt gets both Psychic and Psy Shock. Also gets Will-O-Wisp, which is a really nice support. There's a lot of great support options, great offensive options. Icy Wind as well for speed control. And of course, it's my signature move, Moongeist Beam, which you can give the Z move, and this one I do know, Moongeist Beam turns into Menacing Moonrays Maelstrom, which turns Moongeist Beam, which is already pretty good, like 100 Ghost, so it's 20 base power, 30 if you, no, 20 base power more, 30 if you include Stab. That's more than Shadow Ball. The Z move gives it a 200 power Ghost type move, which with Stab is 300 power. So this thing can nuke something as well. It can be offensive, it can be bulky and supporty, with great support moves, great coverage, and the ability to also just nuke things with its signature Z move is not to be underestimated. I think Lunala was an incredible pickup. But it was also one of my free picks, which means I used 180 of my points. Which is, it meant that my other free picks did have to be a bit lower tier. So, we'll move on from Lunala, and its great speed control. From there, I realized I had not picked my Mega yet. I wanted Lunala first because there was only 2 people in front of me, and one of them already had their Mega. The other one was talking about getting their Mega next as well, and actually said, oh yeah, you know, my Mega that I'm planning to pick is a mixed attacker. I was like, please don't be what I pick, please don't want to be what I pick, or what I really, really want here. And then they picked Mega Lucario, and I was like, oh my goodness, thank you, thank you, thank you, because that means I get my pick of Mega Salamence. Mega Salamence, in my opinion, is one of the best Megas of VGC 2019. It's an incredible Pokemon. Like, its stats are incredible, and gets Intimidate before Mega Ring, which means it's actually doing something useful before it's actually Mega Evolving. And you don't have to Mega Evolve it immediately if you want the Intimidate support. Its stats are monstrous. 130 defense, going from like regular Salamence of 80 is strange, but also very, very good. 120 speed makes it actually one of the fastest Pokemon on my team. The thing's incredible, and I love it to bits. So, interestingly, you wouldn't think this looking at Mega Salamence's stats, but it is more of a special attacker in VGC. It often runs Hyper Voice and Heat Wave, Dragon Move, Draco Meteor or Dragon Pulse depending on how you feel. I'll go with Draco Meteor because that was kind of the standard, and then like one other move. Maybe Protect. It gets Tailwind as well for support. Roost, Rock Slide you can go for. You can mix it. It's a very, very versatile offensive Pokemon with good support options because it also gets Tailwind. It gets Roost to kind of keep itself going. And spreading Flying type Hyper Voices, which are boosted. Yeah, they're very, very powerful. I think because of Stab and Aerial Aid, they kind of hit about 150 power spread move, which is, funnily enough, what Kyogre uses. So yeah, that's why it's really, really good. Obviously, no rain boost or like any extra boost like that, you can't give it an extra item. But I think it's still worth it. Not only that, it's still got 145 attack, so it can easily go physical with a Dragon Dance set, or just like give it return, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Stone Edge, Rock Slide, Zen Headbutt, whatever you feel like. It's a very, very, very powerful attacker, with some optional support that you can give it as well. It's a Pokemon that's not to be underestimated, and I think, in my opinion, is one of the best Megas from VGC 2019. Because Kangaskhan sure was existing, but it did get nerfed in Generation 7. Metagross, I think, was a very good one as well. I think Marwell had a contention because that thing in Trick Room was actually very, very powerful. But those are, I think Mence was one of the best, easily. Just because of its versatility as a Pokemon. So. But that doesn't mean there weren't a lot of other good Megas, because, Mega slots meant you could also pick Mega Mewtwo, which was definitely an option, but I felt Mega Mence was a little bit better, especially because I wanted my 2 restricted to be Kyogre and Lunala. So, Mega Salamence ends up taking the spot for pick number 4. So then we go to pick number 5, and pick number 5 is interesting because I realized I have, sure, Incineroar's kinda slow, but I need to make sure I have a way to play in Trick Room. And one of my more preferred ways to do it, especially when it was such a low tier, I thought it would go eventually, so I wanted to kind of grab it early, and that was to grab Escavalier. Escavalier, straight off the bat, really good abilities all around. Can't be critical hit, give it Swarm if I don't really feel like anything else, or Overcoat to be immune to powder moves, or Hail. So it can't be put to sleep, like Spore or Sleep Powder, can't be affected by Rage Powder, the things are really, really good. Look at its stats. Base 20 is one of the slowest Pokemon you can get, and it's not a stranger to VGC. When Trick Room was popular back in 2011 and 2013, when Escavalier was kind of introduced, it did very well. In VGC 2011 it won the World Championships, and in VGC 2013 it got first in the Junior Division. Both formats had heavy reliance on Trick Room, because that's just kind of how the format played out, and when Escavalier was a good call to put into Trick Room and take hits from dragons, and especially now with fairies, the thing's really, really good. And that was before it got all its great coverage, like Drill Run and Knockoff. Along with that, you have its Dual Stab. You also get access to Swords Dance, Pursuit. It gets access to Quick Guard, which is a really, really nice move. Struggle Bug as well. So the thing actually has supporting options, but let's be realistic. Escavalier is a Pokemon with base 135 attack, 2 great defenses, an incredible type. And this thing will hit hard in Trick Room. There is no questioning it. Commonly runs in a Soul Vest, really, but it's not uncommon to see things like a Choice Band or some kind of berry, especially on things like a Swords Dance set. Because if you do get a Swords Dance off under Trick Room, nothing's living. Nothing's living like Mega Horns from this thing. And you have the coverage to kind of make up for it. So yeah, welcome to Escavalier. Basically, if I want to play in Trick Room, I absolutely can, because Escavalier is one of the best at doing it. Many of the good Pokemon that like to function in Trick Room are base 30 speed, maybe even base 40. Nothing's going to be as there's very few things that are going to be slower than Escavalier that wants to play in Trick Room. So that's what Escavalier is here for, to be the ultimate answer to be in Trick Room. It's also really good against fairies, because this team kind of was lacking answers to fairies. So it can function outside of Trick Room and just be bulky and start firing off really strong iron heads. So there's no question about it. It's very, very good Pokemon, and for a tier 4 I was very happy with it. Jumping back up though, because I already had a tier 2, as you can see, I kind of definitely went top heavy first. You know, I grabbed my Kyogre and Lunala, some 2 tier 1s, a tier 2, got my really strong Mega, grabbed a Trick Room option, and now it's kind of to grab some other stuff. And while I didn't really intend to focus on Rain a lot, despite having Kyogre, because even though I knew Kyogre was probably going to come to most matchups, I didn't want to rely on Kyogre and Rain, because basically saying, okay, yeah, I have Rain means that people want to counter Rain. Like, Kyogre already supports itself on Rain. But having things that could benefit from Rain wasn't exactly a bad thing either. So for a tier 3 pick, I picked up, if I can spell it, Tornadus Incarnate form. Tornadus T, I believe, is a tier 1, maybe a tier 2. So I didn't have to really do the points for it. I actually needed to pick up tier 3s. So Tornadus, one of the Pokemon I actually kind of alluded to earlier, because we allowed Sheer Force Lando, so I'm not sure if we're allowing Defiant Tornadus. So I'll briefly go over it. If we are allowing Defiant, which I will double check. The thing becomes very, very scary, because it means Intimidate is very much scary to kind of even think about bringing. Sure, its physical Flying Stab isn't great, because it's Aerial Ace or Acrobatics, which isn't bad to be fair. Acrobatics isn't exactly a bad move to give, especially when it's, I feel like, a lot easier to use an item in VGC. But when you have access to other great physical moves, I'm pretty sure it gets Superpower, it gets U-Turn, it gets Knockoff. You can argue Hammer Arm. But yeah, the thing is, it's pretty solid. If you want to hit offensively with it, on the physical side, to make sure you're prepared for Intimidate. So I do have a lot of physical. I have Incineroar, Salamence, and, well, Salamence can go special, but Incineroar and Scavalier are definitely physical. But even ignoring that, there was 3 things I picked this thing up for. So you have Prankster, sorry, because I didn't even think about Defiant. You have Prankster, and you have 3 moves that make it already worth it. You have Prankster Taunt, which is already really good. You have Prankster Tailwind, which is also very good. And you have Hurricane, which could work in Rain. Coming off a base 125 special attack, and especially even having the base 111 speed, which it doesn't need to go into if I'm focusing more on a supporting Prankster set, I can definitely more invest in defenses and HP. But even having base 125 special attack and the Hurricanes that aren't going to miss in Rain is already very good. Alongside that, it does get great coverage, it gets Heat Wave, I said Knockoff already, U-Turn, just to make sure it can pit her out. And having access to some nice utility, as it does have, also gets Icy Wind as well for more speed control. There's also Skydrop, which is actually a good move in VGC. Yeah, so the thing's very, very good. I wanted something that could benefit from Rain, but not need it to work, which Tornadus kind of did very nicely. Also maybe gave me something else kind of fast, because the rest of the draft isn't exactly the fastest thing on the planet. But it also gave me a third Tailwind user. So, yeah. If I really want Tailwind, I absolutely can get it. So Lunala can Tailwind, Salamence can Tailwind, and Tornadus can Tailwind. So yeah, there's a lot to be said here. So, moving swiftly along, I'm going to start deleting some Pokemon, so we can actually get to the other picks, because we have 6 more Pokemon to go. So pick 7 was my second tier 4 pick. I asked about this beforehand, and they said it's fine, because we're allowing a lot of stuff that... In fact, this wasn't even banned in VGC. And that is, one of my tier 4 picks was Blaziken, regular Blaziken. So no Mega Blaziken, which means it loses like 20 speed or something. He loses like 20 base speed and a good amount of offense. On the other side of things, you get an access to a life orb if you want it, which I think is honestly good enough. Life orb, or give it some kind of choice item. Blaziken's pretty good. Speed boost Blaziken is nothing to scoff at, especially as a tier 4 pick. The thing can absolutely run through teams, and there's obviously way more of an offensive Pokemon than a defensive Pokemon. I'm just gonna scroll through moves, maybe it gets something interesting I actually didn't know yet, because I didn't really have time to look up a lot of these. I kind of forgot to say this. I drafted this while at work, so like I was checking my phone like every 10 minutes just to see if it was my turn, and yeah. So, but yeah, this Pokemon's very, very offensive. It will destroy teams if they are not prepared for it. Having firefighting coverage, as well as Brave Bird, as well as Rock Slide, as well as knockoff Dark coverage, electric coverage. I just saw it going down here. This thing gets Helping Hand. I have no idea why, so I guess technically it can run support set with like Helping Hand, Willow. I don't know. Definitely more a defensive Pokemon, and obviously will 95% of the time run Protect, because Protect and getting that speed boost is very important for Blaziken to actually get going. But despite this, Blaziken's still a very, very good Pokemon. It's also one of my favorites actually. So I think we're allowed to Baton Pass just because Baton Passing isn't as good in like VGC as well, but like Baton Passing like speed boost or something as well is obviously an option. But also it gets Sword Stance, so if it does get a Sword Stance off, it will destroy the universe. So yeah, I'm very excited to use Blaziken, not gonna lie. It's one of my more favorite Pokemon that I never really get to use because I do play more singles than really doubles, and Blaziken's not really used in doubles that much. So I'm happy to use it. It's got great offenses. It can go physical or special, really. I think, does it get Heat Wave? It does, so it can go for Heat Wave. I'd be less inclined to go for Focus Blast, but like, yeah. Honestly, just having Fledlets, HJK, and then either Rock Slide or Brave Bird is honestly good enough to say, yeah, this thing will, if an unprepared team will fall to Blaziken. So we have a lot of offense. We have a couple good supporting Pokemon, obviously, like Incineroar, Lunala, Tornadus can definitely support the team if need be. But we definitely need a bit more support. So we grabbed as pick number 8, Aromatisse. Epsec Psych. We got rid of Aromatisse already. So after the draft was finished, we were given a 24-hour grace period of free trades, unlimited free trades, unlimited free swaps with the remaining Pokemon that were on the bench, or like not been picked. We have unlimited trades during the season, but the deal was you had unlimited trades for 24 hours after the picks, after the final pick, and then after that you get 6 trades total during the season. So one of the Pokemon I did trade, which I was very happy to do so, because I looked at Aromatisse afterwards and was like, okay, this thing has 2 things going for it other than like the Pokemon I swapped it for didn't get, which was like, it gets Trick Room, but it doesn't get Imprison, and I think it gets... it gets something else. I can't remember. I think it was maybe just more. It has more special attack than what I ended up grabbing, but that was like it. It was better in Trick Room as well because it's base 29 speed. But the Pokemon I ended up like grabbing instead of it, which was way better, which was also a tier 4 pick, was Togetic. Togetic with an EV Light doesn't die. I can assure you of that. So Green Embrace and Super Look are both incredible. We'll go with just Showing Embrace. The things supporting Move Pool is really good. One downside is in this generation it does not get Helping Hand, which is kind of odd, because in Generation 8 it does. But one thing it does get, which is something that this team does not have otherwise, is Follow Me. Follow Me is very, very hard to stop. You can taunt it, but you will get one guaranteed turn. So if I want to go, say, lead Togetic Lunala, Follow Me Tailwind, Follow Me Trick Room, can completely work. Also, like, Togetic Slow, base 40 speed, so it can work in Trick Room, and his special attack isn't... Aromatisse is with base 99, and Togetic is base 80, but, like... And I guess Aromatisse also had a way more health, but, like, the Eviolite with the increased defenses compared to Aromatisse definitely made it way more worth it, and the supporting options are much nicer. This thing also gets Yawn, which is really, really nice. Because it forces a lot more switches. Dazzling Gleam is nothing to scoff at, especially from a Pokemon with base 80 special attack. The thing is a very, very strong support Pokemon. Also gets Thunder Wave and Tailwind for some reason. This is, yeah, now I have 4 Tailwind users. So yeah, fun times. It's a Pokemon. Sorry, I'm getting a little exhausted. It's a very, very good supportive defensive piece that I felt like this team kind of needed, because sure there was some bulky-ish Pokemon, but Togetic was like the queen of bulk. She just doesn't die. Combine that with the fact that I could absolutely make this thing like deal enough damage to things to make it worth running attack investment, or like special attack investment. And yeah, but for the most part this thing will take us for days and be a great supporting piece to the team regardless. So it's definitely something to watch out for, and Togekiss is an incredible Pokemon. Togetic is just mini Togetic, and Togekiss can actually deal damage, where Togetic's less inclined to, but the bulk definitely makes up for it. The bulk is incredible and is to definitely be respected. Also, let's not forget like Serene Graces, I think. Sure, it's a little bit less useful because you can't really Air Slash with it. But you do have things like, what was it? You have Ancient Power, and you have Heat Wave. Right? Yeah. So, that can be considered enough to be running Serene Grace in weeks. But other than that, Super Luck for increased crit ratio on Dazzling Gleam is often used. So that was pick 8. It meant, as of that swap, I lost a Trick Room option, but I felt like Eviolite Togetic was could absolutely work in Trick Room, if need be. So, we go on to pick 9, which goes to my tier 5 pick. I got one tier 5 pick, and I felt very, very happy with it, because it was Togedemaru. Togedemaru. It's a very good Pokemon. It actually saw a lot of usage in VGC2019, because it gets Fake Out. so it gives me a second Fake Out user. Not only that, it does give me something that I wouldn't have had really otherwise, outside of, I guess, Blaziken, which is Helping Hand support. People kind of remember, like, the famous story of how Pachirisu won Worlds once. Yeah, I think, like, that, it's also a Steel type, because this thing gets Lightning Rod as well. It can absolutely also run Sturdy or Iron Bombs, but Lightning Rods are really, really good. Also gets Nuzzle, which is basically Thunder Wave, but it also does damage, so it can break Focus Sashes. It gets Super Fang, it gets Zing Zap, so it can actually deal damage. Like, its attack stack is nothing to scoff at. Base 98, that kind of deals damage. It gets U-Turn, it gets Iron Head, it gets Thunder Wave for more paralysis if you really need more paralysis other than Nuzzle. It gets After You, which is actually kind of useful, because it means, like, because it's faster than Kyogre, it means you can give After You War Spout, which is really good. Also you can go for After You Trick Room with Lunala, because Trick Room always makes you go last, but if you use After You, then you can get Trick Room up early. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, it also gets electric, which is also a great way to speed control. It's like Icy Wind, but I believe it only targets one Pokemon. So yeah, it gets Tickle as well, which is great supporting move pool. The thing's very good. The thing is, a tier 5 was very good. It doesn't look great defensively, but you'd be surprised that this thing can actually take like hits. Because of its typing of Steel Electric and having Lightning Rod makes it kind of dangerous. And again, Fake Out helping hand support is always good, having access to U-turn Amphaults, which is really nice. And yeah, I'm looking forward to giving this little weird ball thing a try. I'd call it, I was going to call it a fur ball, but it's made of metal, so I guess a metal ball, but it's also alive. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's 3 picks left, so I really should be speeding through this. So yeah, pick number 10 at this point. Was something I touched on briefly earlier with Tornadus actually, which was I didn't want to rely on Rain, but having support, having things that could work in Rain was definitely not a bad option, and something I spotted in Tier 4, which I needed to kind of round out my 3 picks. Was Ludicolo. Ludicolo is obviously an incredibly good Rain Sweeper, probably second only to Kingdra, really, in my opinion. Ludicolo is kind of a beast. Its stats obviously don't look incredible, but you give this thing a Life Orb or Specs in Rain, and this thing will tear for all through teams. It also gets Fake Out, which is really nice. It doesn't have to be a full-on Rain Sweeper due to how its moveset is. It's not the greatest thing on the planet, but for a tier 4 pick that can run through teams in Rain, also gets Icy Wind, so it can absolutely run supporting moves. Fake Out and Icy Wind, that's good enough, honestly. But the ability to function as a Rain Sweeper is honestly kind of scary, because it means that you can bring this in with Kyogre, and you already have a lot of offensive pressure because of Swift Swim. Obviously there's no incredible water spouts going on here. You can run Surf, but obviously you'd kind of rather not, because you don't want to hurt your own Kyogre. But you can, but more so Scald, Energy Ball, Ice Beam, that kind of shenanigans, or get your Drain or whatever. But you can definitely run it supportive. You can give it Leech Seed, Fake Out Leech Seed, Protect, and run Rain Dish, so it can be a lot more bulky. It's an incredibly, it's more versatile than it looks. But it's definitely a Pokemon I'm kind of looking forward to just bringing, if the time calls for it, where it's like, okay, this team's just gonna die to Rain, I absolutely am bringing this as a Rain Sweeper. Or if I feel like I want to kind of stall something out, feel like something's maybe a bit of a pain to take out, or if I'm worried about something that gets set up and I don't really have a way to really deal with it, sticking a Leech Seed on it and kind of being annoying and just not dying is always an option as well. So looking forward to using Ludicolo as a nice Rain Sweeper, or as a bulky supportive Pokemon with Icy Wind and Fake Out and shenanigans. So look out for Ludicolo, because this sombrero, I'm going to call it thing, because to this day I still don't really know what Ludicolo is. The henchman of Mirabee, will shine one day. Not sure when that day will be, but it will be one day. And any time that I feel like Rain can really sweep a team, yeah, it's coming. So pick 11. Pick 11 is an interesting one, because I didn't realize that there was 12 picks. I thought there was only one tier 3 pick and then a free pick that I had left to pick, which meant I was picking 2 tier 3. But no, I thought that I was picking Ludicolo as my second to last pick, and then my last pick was going to be to fill out my last tier 3 slot. I didn't realize I had to pick 2 tier 3s at this point, because one of my 3 picks, I had 100 points left over, and I still had to pick another tier 3. Looking at the tier 3s, I wasn't really a fan of many of them, to be honest. A lot of the good ones have kind of been taken by this point, and a lot of the ones didn't really fit a role on my team that I really liked. So, the one I grabbed was Crocodile. And then I thought about it and didn't like Crocodile. Crocodile was interesting because it was a faster style user than Incineroar, but it gave me 3 uses as Intimidate and Growl. Well, Crocodile can be a lot more offensive. I had plans to pick up a different ground type anyway, so I felt like it didn't really fit the team. It definitely could be supportive or offensive, but I felt like there was better options for me. Mainly what I ended up grabbing instead, which was Greninja. So sure, a second Dark type and a third Water type, but I don't count that because it has Protean. So adds Battle Bomb, but I'm not sure if we actually allow Battle Bombs. We'll double check that, but regardless, Protean Greninja is already enough for me to consider this a good tier 3 pick. The thing was banned in OU singles in 2014 when Auras came out, and it got its tutor moves, basically meaning it could go physical or special at any point, or mixed, because it gets low kick and gunshot. But even disregarding that, Skull slash Ice Beam slash Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, or just whatever, you can give it so many different great coverage moves and it will get a stab on all of them and turn into all of them. It's like we have in Generation 8 with Libero Cinderace, which is actually banned now in singles and doubles. Actually, I believe it's the first Pokemon that's got banned from both singles and doubles, which is impressive. But regardless of that, it also gets a lot of actually really nice utility, both in Taunt and one of its signature moves, Mat Block. Mat Block is a move that is a protector for both sides of your both of your Pokemon, but it only works the first turn it's in, so it's like Fake Out, except it's a lot more defensive. Neither of your Pokemon can be hit by damaging moves. So they can be taunted, they can be, you know, they can be status, whatever. The thing also gets Icy Wind again for great speed control. So if it wants to go a bit more of a supportive route, it absolutely can. Just because Taunt is honestly really good. Haze is also a really nice option, but for the most part, this thing will be an offensive powerhouse. And again, an unprepared team for Greninja can just die. It's now after the original draft, Salamence was my fastest Pokemon, but I wanted something else that was a little bit faster, that didn't need to Mega Evolve to get that speed, and Greninja was that. So this is the fastest Pokemon on my team at this point. Not counting, you know, all the Tailwind users, all 4 of them, as well as Speed Boost Blaziken and Rain Ludicolo. This is the naturally fastest Pokemon. Doesn't need any extra investment, well, it doesn't need any extra support, doesn't need a turn to get going, it's just straight up fast. Doesn't need to Mega Evolve either, so this is kind of the Pokemon that people have to outspeed. And it's not the easiest to do so. Base 122 is pretty high, I can go mixed, and yeah, again, for a tier 3, I felt this was probably one of the best things I could grab that was really left. So yeah, looking forward to kind of giving a Greninja a go, and we'll see if there is a real use for it, because I'm not sure if there really is, but we'll find a way, because I think Greninja can be very good, either supportive or offensive. And that brings us to our last Pokemon. So, our last pick had to be another tier 3, and this was a pick that I wanted to pick last because, in a way, there was 2 versions of it. So I knew that it was more likely to get, I was likely to get this than like Crocodile, which I was thinking between Crocodile and Gardevoir, and I settled on Crocodile, which I obviously didn't end up mattering anyway. Regardless, the last pick was Nidoqueen, specifically Queen, not King actually. Be surprised to know that it's Queen. So Queen actually works better in Trick Room. It's my 4th slowest Pokemon. Whereas otherwise it wouldn't have been. I guess Ludicolo. It's Ludicolo because it's 70. Well, yeah. So, like Life Force, Sheer Force. There is a fun fact about this, and that is in VGC2018, it got 2nd at Oceania Internationals. So like the Australian essentially national championships, it got second. And then I also believe it top cut worlds that year, so I think it got top 16, maybe a bit higher, but I'm not quite sure. Regardless, Nidoqueen is something to be respected because of its move pool, and literally doesn't need anything else but that. It's also a lot bulkier, which is kind of why I wanted it. I wanted the bulk over the offense because I felt like the bulk was a bit more necessary for this team. Anything that this thing really wanted to hit, it could already hit pretty hard. The thing is, more often than not, to abuse its Life Orb and Sheer Force bonus, it often goes special with things like Earth Power and Sludge Bomb, because you don't want to hit your partner with Sludge Wave. And then obviously it gets great coverage with Flamethrower, I believe Thunderbolt as well. Yep, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam. But you can run it physical with, you know, Rock Slide as well. And Drill Run. Yeah, the thing's really good. It does get good supporting moves as well. It gets Taunt, it gets Super Fang, which is really nice. Cheeky Stealth Rocks, though I very much doubt I will actually ever use Stealth Rocks. Fling could be interesting, more Icy Wind usage, which is always nice. Yeah. Why do you get Whirlpool? I don't think you're going to get Whirlpool for this, just because, yeah. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to trying out Nidoqueen. Again, I know it has potential as a Pokemon, and again, I wanted a ground type because having an electric community other than Togedemaru is nice, and it also gave me a poison type to kind of help with the fairies. I didn't really have an answer to fairies. So yeah, that is the whole team, which we have here. Double check. Yep, OBS is showing it, cool. So yeah, this is the whole team, which I kind of laid out because this is really helpful for me to look at. So yeah, Mega Salamence, Kyogre, Incineroar, Tornado Carnet, Greninja, Escavalier, Blaziken, Togedemaru, Lunala, Togetic, Ludicolo, and Nidoqueen. And obviously you can see originally Aromatisse and originally Crocodile. So yeah. I'm very much looking forward to this draft. It's been quite a long time since I've been part of any draft league. Probably 4 years at least, if not longer. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really hoping to actually do well here. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I shall see you guys for the first battle, which I'm probably doing, I guess technically today, but tomorrow. You get the idea. So yeah, take it easy everybody, and I shall see you guys next time.